This is your man's Nic Rattlehead, and we are back for another year-end episode of Aftershock Reviews, your place for great reviews. Jason.
All right, let's begin.
We are now in the top five.
Yep.
Top five. You thought I forgot, didn't you?
Nah.
Jason, what is your number 5?
I'm just going to give you fair warning.
Okay.
We've been going pretty long as it is right now.
Okay.
And I'm letting you know, if you thought we were going long on the bottom 5, this top 5 is going to take us a minute. This top 5 is going to take us a minute. And I'm going to start hard, all right? You ready? Number 5. And I'm only laughing now.
I hope y'all can see my face.
I'm only laughing right now because Nick and I have had conversations about these albums. Number 5.
Oh, no.
You already know what's coming. It's Jamie by Brittany Howard. And again, I laugh because this is another one of those albums where Nick and I were on the complete opposite side. Like, we could not be further away. Nick is objectively wrong about how good this album is.
You know what? I was gonna let everything go. The fact that Jamie's even in your top 5, I was gonna be like, you know what? That's fine. That's Jason. Until
wrong.
you said I was objectively wrong. You know who's objectively wrong here? It's you.
All right. We've disagreed on Malibu. That's subjective.
Okay.
We've disagreed on Drogas Wave. Subjective. Mm-hmm. We've disagreed on Moonchild. What else we disagree on this year? At least that, so far, subjective things. Nick don't have no real reason not to like this album. I'm going to tell you why I like it, and he's going to tell you opposite things that don't, he's going to say things to try to convince you that his opinion, which is wrong, by the way, is right. But I'm going to go ahead and give it to you.
I have to put the red hood on because I had to kill him.
I will say that this album is not, in my opinion, better than Sound and Color. I think Sound and Color that year came number 3 on my list.
You better protect your behind.
However, it's real close. There are some just history repeats. So good. The song itself repeats itself over and over again for like a minute, and it just gets stuck in your head like a mantra, which is a theme that will present itself in other albums in my top 5. It's so good. Stay High is one of the best songs she has ever written. I love it. So rude. It's one of the best songs she's ever written. I love Georgia. It's just a beautiful little bop. It's nice and easy, short and sweet. It's just a silent. I mean, there's just nothing in there but her voice, a guitar, and at some point like a harpsichord or something. And I'm just like, why is this so good? You can hear the fuzz in the background from like it's so good. 13th Century Metal. Love that song. Had to grow on me, but I love it now. Baby is not long enough. That song don't even last 3 minutes. That song should have been a solid 5. It is so good. It is a groove. Why does she do that to me? Baby is so good. So good. Goat Head, amazing. Like, it's just, it comes apart a little bit at the end. Like, the last 2 songs are just fine to me, but everything up until that point is just greatness. It's just, my favorite part of Alabama Shakes is Brittany Howard and her voice. And if you just strip back all the finery of the, the nice and clean Sound and Color sound, and you just give me Brittany, a guitar, and a big room, I'm good. And that's exactly what she gave me. That's exactly what I wanted. And I didn't know that I wanted it until she gave it to me.
And that is exactly where you are wrong, sir. That is.
This has been the contentious album of the year.
This is exactly where you are wrong, sir.
Let's talk.
Because you said, just strip away all of the tinsel of Alabama Shakes, strip away all of the riffs and all, like the rest of them, and just give me Brittany Howard with her voice and the guitar in the room. You know what that equates to me? Boring. You know what that equates to me? Lack of original ideas. Because all of this stuff sounds like rewashed Alabama Shakes. That's it.
Just wrong.
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I let you look. I feel like you skip better than I'm Shannon Sharp. Skill. Why you saying that, Skip?
Why I gotta be the white man in the room?
No,
Why you get to have the Hennies and
technically,
what is it? The Hennies and
and the cigar?
Yeah.
The Henny and the cigar. Well,
Black and Mild and Henny or whatever.
Technically, he is one of them light skinned dudes, though.
Those mulatto boys. Okay, I get it. All right, whatever. Go ahead.
Caramel cats. That's all right.
Yeah.
But but you are wrong. You cannot be more wrong. All this is a pale imitation of what Sound and Color was going to be like.
It doesn't do this album justice. What he's saying?
It does not do the album justice.
What he's saying?
It does not do. She does not do this album justice. You are completely correct, sir.
That's not even
for the past 3 minutes. That's the most correct thing you've said.
She's not even trying to be Alabama.
She's not trying. Exactly.
Trying to be her. And I love it. It's just so good. It's so personal. It's raw. The music that is there is full and it's good.
No, it's
he just don't like when there seems to be room for more. I like the space. I like
there seems to be
the room to fill it.
For improvement.
It's all right, y'all. We're gonna move on from this. This is my number 5. Jamie by Brittany Howard. Nick!
Yes.
Let's get to your number 5, shall we?
Yes. My number 5 album, Jason, check this out, is Sherman's Showcase by Sherman's Showcase.
What?
Shout out to you, Brad.
I forgot. I mean,
it's real.
Oh, wow.
That album is fun. Look, let me tell you something. I play that album for my brother. I play that album for all my friends. It's to the point now whenever we see each other. We went to this fish restaurant for my homeboy's birthday, right? And they hit me with because they give me glasses and they put the water in the glasses, but they don't give me no straw. And I'm like, bruh, where's my straw? And they're like, Nick, we in a nice restaurant. You ain't getting no straw. I'm like, they better give me a straw. I ain't drinking out of this glass so everybody else been putting their lips on it. It's like, that's why people watch this. I'm like, I want a straw.
Where you going with this?
So then they said, oh, no, I'm getting there. So the lady come over here and she give me a straw, right? But it's a paper straw.
That's not even a straw.
That ain't right. Because that's a line in the song. As soon as that person put that straw in that cup, my homeboy looked at me, we both said in unison, that ain't right. There's so many points in that album where it leaves you with something funny to repeat with your friends. It is so much fun, and they do a great job not only of spoofing pivotal artists throughout multiple decades, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, where you're talking about songs that mimic James Brown, where you're talking about songs that mimic Anita Baker, like This Is My Fantasy, like where you're talking about songs that mimic Prince, like Vicky Is the Water Warm Enough, where he literally had Vic Mensa sings that song.
Yeah, I remember.
And he does the most spot-on Prince impression I've ever seen, because it's also on the TV show, / Heard, where he goes like, I put my foot in the water, no, so cold. Like, it's so good. and he does the solo and everything. And I know I just botched that lyric because I'm excited because that album is great. Pardon me, Brad. But I'm telling you, that album is fun. Not to mention, they take the theme of Sherman's Showcase and then they flip it based on which era they're in. So they have like the cool Soul Train 70s version of it that starts the album off, to the In Living Color 90s version that's midway through the track that heralds in probably the best leg of the album. And then they end it with a 2013 trap version. And that's smoke. I don't even know how to Millie rock, but I'm in the freaking car going, hey, 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 hey. It's a terrible Millie rock, I don't care. But it was good. That album is fun. Number 5.
Wow.
Sherman Showcase by Sherman Showcase. Check the TV show out on IFC. You can even get the DVD box set that just came out.
This is not a sponsored ad.
This is not a sponsored ad, but I feel so passionate about it, I need to tell you. Jason.
Yes.
What is your number 4? Number 4.
I think my number 4 album is a little less controversial than the last one we just discussed. My number 4 album is another one that I've been kind of keeping in my pocket.
Okay.
Legacy by Jamila Woods. This is the blackest album I have heard since To Pimp a Butterfly. It is a celebration of just blackness. it's so good. I was listening to it. So that was the album I was listening to before I started listening to Schoolboy when you got here. Each song is named after a prolific black person, like Basquiat, which is one of my favorites. It is my favorite song on the album. It's got Saba on it. It's like 6 minutes.
Of course
it moved.
Of course it
has Saba on it. Of course.
Yeah, yep.
Care for me, Saba.
Yes.
He just came right in the studio. She said, "You wanna see me angry?" He came in and said, "I get that. I got you on that. Okay, I got you." God, that song. It's just that one song, and it comes towards like the second act of the album. It's another one of those albums that like kind of moves through itself. It has like phases, where it's just like this song leads into this song, that leads into this song. It's just so damn good. She is a poet with words. She does not waste a single word, a single syllable. The musicality, like the music around her words, like in her singing, is so good. It's just great. It's like it's a beautiful fusion of like protest hip hop and jazz and funk and rock, just even the genres themselves are just black as hell. And I'm just like, man, this is great. It's really good. Yeah, it's just really good. If you haven't heard Jamila Woods' new album, Legacy, I encourage you to check it out. Her first album, Heaven, came out the same year as Telephone. And for me, I loved Heaven. I thought it was really good. Telephone just ate everything else that year. That was my number one album that year.
I remember. Because
it just arrested you. It just like it's just 30 minutes of here I'm telling my own story or whatever. And like Jamila Woods kind of it's like a different side of like Lizzo, where like Lizzo is having a little more fun, but like, yeah, I'm black and I'm I'm big and like and I'm loud and you just gonna love me. And like Jamila Woods kind of takes that same message and she's like, no, you gonna respect me. You gonna take me serious. Or I'm just not gonna have it. Like I'm not gonna be in the same room as somebody that won't give me the time of day. Like if you looking at me like I'm lesser than you, I'm not talking to you. This is not. I don't have to entertain this. You know what I mean? Like that's God, it's so good. It's very good. Jamila Woods, Legacy. That's my number 4 album. Nick,
yes.
What's your number 4, bro?
My number 4 album is, out of this entire year, is the most challenging album I've had to listen to. Not had to, but chose to listen to. My number 4 album is Caligula by Lingua Ignota. Lingua Ignota is the stage name for Miss, her name just left me. But we're just going to call her.
Because it's so challenging to listen to.
I don't want to botch her name again. But this album, Jason, is challenging. This album is confrontational. This album is very pointed. This album is sad. This album is heartbreaking. This album is enraged. This album is so many different things, and they're all negative. There's no light on this album whatsoever because Kristen Hayter, thank you. I was going to get there.
Thank you.
I was going to get there. This young lady has survived domestic abuse, and her previous album is her literally exercising the demons of that. This is just nothing but an extension of that. So instead of being more industrial like it was for her previous album, this one is way more grand with a lot of Catholicism so far as like the tone of the album is concerned. Judeo-Christian elements are introduced themselves into this album. Very operatic. At the same time, metal is all heck with her vocal delivery. She's a trained singer, so she has a way of contorting her voice to get to different tones that you do not expect from her, right? If you really want to hear what I'm talking about, there is a song off of the album called Do You Doubt Me, Traitor? It's the longest track off this album, and it's the most dynamic track off this album, and it's the best song off of this album. It goes through movement after movement, and at some point in this album, she's literally hyperventilating over the track as she screams, "How do I break you before you break me?" It literally breaks your heart. It literally tears you down as the listener, as you can literally see frustration, as you can see heartbreak, as you can see intense agony morph itself into something destructive, right? And then that destructive force is now turned onto her attacker. You see what I mean? Like it's insanely dark, but at the same time, I can see how it can be very cathartic for people who have been going through that type of abuse. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the same time, you cannot dismiss this album as, because I've heard some people be like, it's just nothing but like angry girl, sad girl music. I'm like, no, because like a lot of the lyrics are very stripped down. She's not being poetic about anything, especially on the track following this one, where she says, I am the effing death dealer. That's how she it's called Butcher of the World. I am the butcher of the world.
That's dark.
It's dark. It's very experimental. Jump scares find themselves in this album as well. And I won't tell you where. You'll have to listen to the album to find out for yourself. This is a very challenging album. It is, but at the end of the day, once you get past the last song, Effing Death Dealer, it's rewarding at the same time, because you felt like you've actually been able to see somebody's soul at this point and see what they've gone through and see how they've turned, for lack of a better term, a weakness into a strength. But that strength has now exploded into an unstoppable force. I love this album. I absolutely love this album.
That's interesting.
The name of the album again is called Caligula by Lingua Ignota.
Interesting.
Jason,
We're getting into the top 3, baby.
we're in the top 3, bruh.
All right.
Are you ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
All right, then tell me.
Yep.
What is your number 3? Number 3.
Nick, my number 3 is extremely predictable. It's something that you saw coming a mile away. I'd say that for number 3, 2, and 1, actually. So I'm just going to go ahead and say them. Number 3 is Ventura.
Yep.
By Anderson .Paak.
Cool.
I didn't think it was going to fall at number 3. I knew it was going to be on the list. I didn't think it was going to be number 3. And for comparison's sake, and this kind of falls for the rest of the list, my number 3 album for 2016 was Malibu. Malibu is way better than Ventura, in my opinion.
Okay, that's fine. Wrong as you may be, but that's all right.
You know what? I'm going to scale that back a little bit. Malibu is better than Ventura.
Okay.
And I say that because Malibu is an overall better listen for me. I think Ventura has better, and parts of Oxnard, his last album that he came out with late last year that did not make my top 10 because it was a little disappointing. Both of those albums, Oxnard and Ventura, they sound a lot more polished. There's a lot more live instrumentality. It doesn't sound like Malibu still sounds like an experiment. And it's got like, it's rough around the edges a little bit, and he's kind of playing around. And Oxnard and Ventura especially sounds a lot more refined. And I think the quality of his music got better for that. It's just not consistently that way. Ventura specifically, which is obviously the album I'm talking about, the first 6 songs of that album, from Come Home to Yada Yada, are perfect.
Oh my God.
Are perfect. Every single song. Come Home, Make It Better with Smokey Robinson, Reaching Too Much, Perfect Circle, Good Heels, Yada Yada, every single, and then the way that they flow into each other from time to time.
Smoke.
And then just like with a lot of other albums that I listed before this, there comes a moment where something happens where it's just the ball gets dropped. King James is that moment. I don't know why that was a single. It's not a bad song. It's just mediocre. It's not very good. It doesn't feel like it goes anywhere. When it gets to the message of the song, you know, the salute to King James bar, he tries to fit so many words into it that it's just like, okay, bro, if the song was barely holding on before that, it's gone now. He had a nice little flow going, and then he was like, and then salute King James with the positivity. And I was just like, no, stop, slow down. Is that what this song was about the whole time? Is it just a tribute to LeBron James? What? Okay. And the song after that, Chosen One, which is just there. Like the last part of that song, I think is nice. It's got a really good groove to it, and then like Anderson .Paak gets his cadence going, and he picks the album back up. I think some songs like Jet Black was another good song that I liked from the beginning. Twilight, the song with that Pharrell produced, Had to Grow on Me, but I love that song now. And the last song with Nate Dogg is amazing. It's just those. If the thing that really upsets me a lot about this new wave of Anderson .Paak, if he would have taken the best songs from Oxnard, which is not a bad album, it's just not great. It's not the Anderson .Paak that he introduced us to. It's not the No Worries Anderson .Paak. It's not the Malibu Anderson .Paak. It's the produced by Dr. Dre Anderson .Paak, which is not bad. It's just a little too much Dre in there, but like he was trying to insert himself a little too much into that album, and it just didn't come off very well, to me at least. But if you took the best songs from Oxnard and the best songs from Ventura, and you gave me one 12-track album, it would be number one of whatever year it was in. It would be undisputed. If you took the best songs off Oxnard and that first half of Ventura and maybe a couple of songs off the end, that album would have came out, and I would not have accepted the fact that Nick doesn't like that album. I'm like, no, you are tripping. Like, we can't. If that album was, I'd be like, nah, bro, no. And if you didn't mention Ventura at all, I knew it probably wasn't gonna fall on your top 10 because that's just how these things happen. But if you didn't at least mention Ventura on here, especially after we went out to lunch one day, a couple weeks after it came out, and when I met him, he was like, just under his breath from time to time, like Nick will rap something or he'll sing something, or he'll be like, yo. You know how he does. But he was, I think I'm reaching way too much. And I'm literally just, I'm like the meme, the little white kid meme where he's like, I was like, wait, excuse me?
It was so,
excuse me? And we had to have a whole conversation about it.
I cannot deny that.
Because I was stuck. I said, yo, no. Because like,
somebody needs to
man. Nah. So it's number 3 on my list. I don't think it's better than Malibu. I do think it's better than Oxnard. I think it's one of the best albums he's put out. It's got some of the best songs he's ever made. And I hope that he continues to make good quality stuff like that can't be denied. I hope that the next album that Anderson .Paak comes out with changes Nick's mind completely. He's like, you know what? Number 8, blah, blah, blah by Anderson .Paak, you know?
If he keeps on like that, there's a very high chance.
Like, that's the part of him, like, you know, stripping back the sense and the silly lines about titties and other stuff like that. Like the parts of Malibu that you didn't like, the parts of Oxnard that you didn't like in all of those albums, that's what I heard. I'm just like, man, maybe if you just had like a bigger budget, or if you had like different people on the vocal, and like he gave us so much of that, like the Layla Hathaway. I mean, come on, Brandy, like
Smokey Robinson, Andre 3000,
Andre 3000 on the intro. Come on,
Andre.
Man.
Three stats.
All you needed was a little money behind you, bro. And Dr. Dre was like, take whatever you want, bro. Do what you want. Do what you want. You got it. And he delivered, in my opinion. I think he delivered very well.
I agree.
Very good album.
I agree.
Very good album.
100%.
Number 3, Ventura, Anderson .Paak. Nick!
Yes!
Number 3 on your list.
My number 3 album is Feels Like You Were. Now,
I mean, I wasn't going to say nothing, but...
I know what some people going to say. Shut up. We forgive a lot of folk for doing a lot of stupid stuff.
Oh, this is that group.
That's them.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's the... Yeah. I'm not going to bring it up.
Okay.
But we forgive Kanye West, Chris Brown. We forgive all of these stupid actors like Kevin Spacey and the rest of these dudes who be touching little girls and all this other good stuff. So don't come at me talking this nonsense about what they said 5 years ago on a social media account in which they've also apologized, have not made a stitch of music since then, and now have come back, right? I don't want to hear nothing. Shut up.
We talking about the music, I guess, yeah.
This album is amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. The day I heard it was the day that we had to record the Kanye West.
That's right. Yeah, you came in and you said, what was it? They had it on Bandcamp for people to.
Because since the album had been leaked already, right? You were able to buy, not stream, but buy the album from Bandcamp. Because at some point you have to make your money back from the expenses you had to put into making it, right?
Yeah.
Like I have to pay for studio time, I have to pay for all this stuff. So I need you to buy the album now so I can pay this stuff off. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So they did it that way. So as soon as I saw it was for sale, I was like, buy. I didn't listen to a single stitch. I didn't listen to anything from that album. Why? Because their album Distressor was so good. That album is, when you're talking about shoegaze, My Chemical Romance, all of this stuff. No, My Bloody Valentine. Please forgive me. My Bloody Valentine, Slow Dive, all of that, and then you've got like the 2 instrumentalists from Deaf Heaven, and they bring it in and make this beautiful beautiful abstract piece of auditory art that is Distressor. And they bring in elements from Eyes Wide Shut. Why, I don't know, but you hear Nicole Kidman saying the ending lines from Eyes Wide Shut about how they should be grateful about they made it through this dream that they made it through and things of that nature, right? Yeah. It just adds to the whole atmosphere, the whole ethereal setting of that album. And then that has now been transferred and expanded upon when it comes to this album. Songs like Mellow and oh my gosh, like Wavelength. I almost called you Matt because I'm into it that much. Jason. This is the most beautiful album I've heard this year. The next two are
that's dope.
The next two are ugly, but this one.
Oh, I assume that.
This one. I love this.
Check it out.
Love this. I cannot say this enough. I love this album. I love it that much. It made me almost, because the top three were really hard for me. Like, where do I shuffle these? Like, how do I spent most of my time listening to these three albums, and Word was so good. Oh my, Jason. The album is called Feels Like You by Word. Please go to Word's Bandcamp. Buy the album, support the band, check it out, and then get back to me. It's so great. It is so great.
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah.
We are down to our last two.
All right now.
We are down to our last two.
All right now.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. You know, we're just sitting there talking music. You know what I'm saying? We
here.
Stretched out.
Feel a little loose.
Feel a little loosey-goosey. I'm ready to get it popping.
Then if you're feeling so loose, what is your number 2 album this year?
My number 2 album this year comes by a young, tall, lanky black man who likes to wear wigs and suits and sunglasses and all that. His name is Tyler, the Creator. The album is Igor. Once again, referencing back to the last time he had an album, Flower Boy was my number 2 in 2017. I don't think Igor is better than Flower Boy, but it's a damn good album. It is so good. It's like a fusion, in my opinion, of a lot of his albums, like kind of put together. It's like the core is still very Flower Boy, but then like the music around it is Cherry Bomb, Wolf, Bastard. Like it's like dirty, but like it's talking about love and loss and jealousy and like toxic relationships and just letting go of those emotions and moving through them and like kind of hoping, like, you know, are we still friends? Can we still be friends after all of this? Like blah blah blah. Like it's one of the best albums I've heard just move through the emotions of loving somebody, being with somebody, having a relationship fall apart, people not loving you the way that you want to love them, like being jealous of people moving on and like kind of getting rid of it yourself, like moving through all of those emotions. It's one of the best musical ways I've heard that expressed. And I think it's really good. I think it's cool that Tyler didn't hide the person that he revealed himself to be in Flower Boy in this album, and also still kept the sound of his older stuff at the same time. I thought it was just a really good mix of his stuff. His music videos, I know we're here to just talk about the music itself, but the music videos for every single song that he's come out with so far have been amazing. Like art. A Boy Is a Gun is one of my favorite songs on the album. That music video was just like, God, why is this so good? New Magic Wand is one of the hardest songs I've heard all year. It is so good. Those synth horns at the end is just nasty. Man is like, hey yo, and he just rips that song a new one in that last minute, and then the synth horns, it's just, bruh, album is so good. Album is so good. The album is so good.
So good?
So good.
So good.
Man. Okay,
well,
I had to bring myself back in.
You good?
Indulge. I'm good.
You sure?
I'm good. I've said what I had to say. If I have to convince you in 2019 that you should be listening to Tyler, the Creator, I don't really have much else to say. You know, like his moments of fuckery, like those for the most part are gone. You know, like since he's entered into this new phase we've been with Tyler, I think, since Wolf. I wasn't really I wasn't the biggest fan of Roach eating Tyler or breaking into a girl's house and rapping over her while she sleeps. Tyler, not really a big fan of that person, of that music. He revealed himself to be in a different place when I finally, when I got into his music, even Wolf, where he was just, and it's been a theme in like all of his albums, even the ones before then, where he was like talking to somebody in the therapist chair and kind of going through his emotions and stuff like that. But like Wolf was those other albums kind of stripped back. Cherry Bomb was just like loud, loud. But like I still loved a lot of the music around that. And Flower Boy was like, all right, look, y'all. Like this is really what's been going on. I just been fighting with myself because of X, Y, and Z. And I hope that you understand. And it was kind of like his love letter and also like his apology. And I think this album, Igor, is just him being fully him now. And I like who he is. I think he's a cool dude. He's still on that same, like his message has always been very much like, even during those crazy, like I'm gonna eat a roach time, was like, don't let anybody tell you who you should be. Like be you and fully be you. And it wasn't until recently that I think he was truly living in that. And his music has only gotten better for it, I think. So very inspiring. Tyler the Creator is probably one of the most inspiring artists I've seen this decade. Just a really, especially as somebody like around our age, to see him just living in his truth. And I don't just mean like his sexuality. I just mean like in exactly what he wants to do, like his clothing line, TV shows. Like he has a carnival every year. Like, but he's just doing what he wants to do, and he's putting all of himself into it. And that's just really cool to see. Not only that, the music that comes out of it is really good. So, Igor, Tyler the Creator, not a surprise at all.
No,
my number 2 album.
No, I was waiting for that. Actually.
Yeah. Okay, Nick.
Yes.
Your number 2 album of 2019. Let's get into it. How you feeling?
My number 2 album for 2019 is Planetary Clairvoyance by Tomb Mold. I love the name, first off. Tomb Mold. Anything that's molding, I love that in your name.
You did say that these last 2 albums are going to be dirty.
Oh, it's great. It's great. It's like this like, I need sci-fi metal. I need it. I need more of this. Whatever this is. First off, thank you guys. I'm going to actually shout out Tomb Mold themselves. They have shared everything that I have put out about them. They have reached out to me and spoke to me and been completely kind to me.
That's dope.
Thank you for that. Love you guys. I'll wear the Nintendo 64 shirt next video, I promise.
Is that something you told them you do?
No, they commented to me about it. It's like, dude, dope Nintendo 64 shirt. It's amazing. Great.
That's pretty dope.
But the album. This album. It's because the thing about it is, now I did like Primordial Malignity. I said this in my review for Tomb Mold from 2017. And then Manners of Infinite Forms from 2000. Well, last year, right, was the one that really made me go like, these guys are special, right? But they said, Nick, we're not done. We're not done. Now, we know a lot of people like the more cleaned up version of our production for Manor, but we're going to make it gross and sludgy and nasty and filthy, like their old mixtapes. Jason, when it comes to Beg for Life, when it comes to with that ambient, almost alien-like white noise in the background, and then you hear the riff kind of introducing itself far off into the distance. And as the time code continues to progress, it gets louder and louder until you hear the drummer, the percussionist hit you with that drop beat, and they go. And they don't stop. And it's amazing. With the with a riff that makes you, what did they say in Friday? Chicken so good make you want to slap. You remember that? Yeah. Riff like that. It's great. Dag nabbit. And then on top of that, they do something unexpected. They stop midway through the track and they introduce an acoustic guitar. Just a random acoustic guitar for no reason. I'm like, what? But it's I don't know why it's there, but I'm not mad it's there. And then the track starts to build and build again as the percussionist starts to hit every freaking eighth note that he can. And then it goes into a completely different riff. That's the thing. They know how to go from riff to riff to riff, from idea to idea to idea seamlessly, like butter. It's amazing. And then you're talking about songs like Infinite Resurrection, which was the lead single for this album. I still love that track. This is the thing. When you're making an album for me, especially when it comes to death metal, I loves me a good riff, right? That's what keeps things like I'll go back and listen to songs from like Genocide Pact to things of that nature. I still like their album Order of Torment, but I do now see holes in it, right? Mm-hmm. I do now see the fact that while their vocalist is great, their percussionist is great, there are times where they do introduce some good stuff like flashes of Hammer Smashed Face in some of their songs, like I think it's from Pain Reprisal. Aside from that, they don't have a memorable riff. So what you're left with is pounding blast beats and then chugging guitars, but nothing wrapped around it. You see what I mean? Okay. Right? So yet again, it's an experience, but it's a fleeting one. You see what I mean? This though, especially, I said in the video that the title track, Planetary Clairvoyance, was a cool string of ideas, but nothing very memorable. I was tripping. I was tripping hard. That might very well be, aside from Heat Death, that very might be the best song off that album. Listen to me. If you like death metal, if it's something that just you cannot have your thirst quenched of death metal. You just need it. You need to do yourself the service and listen to Nic's number 2 album from this year, Planetary Clairvoyance by Tomb Mold. Jason.
All right now. All right.
We're here.
We're here at the top.
We're here. After over an hour, we are now here.
Bro, we've been going for an hour and 29 minutes?
It's not a game.
Oh, Lord.
It's not a game.
Okay.
But we are here now.
Hey, we are.
Jason.
Nick.
Jibbie Jones.
Nic Rattlehead.
The leader, the creator, the man, the brain behind Dumblinks, one of your new favorite gaming it's not even a TV show, it's your streaming show on Twitch. You'll see the link in the description below. Follow Dumblinks.
Make it happen.
Give them a subscription. What's the other thing that you get money, you get paid for that too? What's that? Because I'm not too familiar with Twitch.
You just, if you subscribe to me on Twitch, it's $5 a month. You get access to a bunch of different sounds and emotes and things like that. So if you want to support us that way, do it on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Dumblinks. Anyway.
Support your favorite artists. Support your favorite shows. Support your friends.
Support us.
Your family. Support us. All you gotta do for me is just watch. Subscribe to him. Help this man out. Hear me? Now, Jason.
Nick.
What is your number 1 album
Brother man.
from 2019?
Brother man, I know I said I wasn't going to surprise you, but what I got written down on this piece of paper here...
I've been trying to look the whole episode and I can't make out with your handwriting.
Good,
so I was like, well,
good. I'm glad I made a chicken scratch because this ain't even my best. This ain't even the number 1. I'm calling Audible right now.
Okay.
My number 1 album of 2019 is The Big Day by Chance the Rapper.
No, seriously.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we were doing the blooper.
No.
I thought we were doing the jokes time. This is not the jokes.
No.
This is time for the actual album. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's pretend like that never happened. Bad joke. Sometimes all the jokes can't land. All the jokes can't land. I'm sorry.
Oh, my heart hit my stomach. Don't do that to me.
Niggas about to get up. Niggas about to get up and leave. That's where you draw the line after an hour and a half.
Yeah.
My number 1 album, for real, y'all, is When I Get Home by Solange. That's 100% my number 1 album. And I feel like you were still going to give me that look regardless. It ain't no big day look you're going to give me. But we've been talking about this all year. I've been, I can't say hoping, because I'm not mad that this album is my number 1. But I've been looking for an album to come compete with it. I've been looking for an album to come and dethrone it or challenge it or come close to it. Igor was my number 2 album. It doesn't even come close to this one. This album has been sitting as my number 1 album since April. Mm-hmm. And nothing has come to challenge it. This year has been a very strange year in music for me. Mm-hmm. In that there has been a lot of stuff that I've enjoyed listening to, but none of which has particularly been like, oh my God, this is so good. Mm-hmm. Solange is the closest album that's done that. And I think it's ironic because her album is probably the most low-key out of everything here. This album is the antithesis of what Nic enjoys in music. It feels like the other side of the coin to Solange's last album, A Seat at the Table, to where the blackness is still there. The Houston is still there. Solange is still there, but everything else is taken away. Like the on-the-nose lyricism, the instrumentality, it's all been taken away. And it just literally, this whole album just feels like Solange dancing in the living room. It just feels like Solange doing yoga. It seems like Solange twerking, smoking weed, just indulging in the most base form of herself. And I don't know why I feel it so much. Maybe because like I spent a lot of this year kind of like stripping back what I'm doing. Like I'm taking up yoga, trying to like meditate and do other things like that. Like I feel myself starting to slow down in my life. Like I'm not as as I used to be. And I think this album came at a perfect time to kind of meet me where I see myself going. The first time I listened to this album was it was a Friday morning. I was at the gym on one of those bike machines.
Elliptical. Yep.
I was getting ready to say elliptical just didn't seem right for some reason. I don't know. I was looking for another word.
That's okay.
Anyway, I was on the elliptical at like 6:30 in the morning, and I was like, oh yeah, Solange did come out with a new album today. I wonder if this will be good in the gym. It's not good for the gym at all. But is it good? Hell yes, it is. The album is nothing, but is somehow everything at the same time. It doesn't make any sense what I'm saying. But if you listen to the album, there's a part of what I'm saying that is making sense to you. Things I Imagined is literally just her saying some things I imagined. I saw things I imagined. I saw things I imagined. Things. It's just over and over until it's just in your head now. Like even right now, it's things I imagine. Things I imagine. It's just like I don't even know what you're saying right now. I don't know if what you're saying is connected to anything, if it means anything, if it's making any sense. I don't know what you're talking about right now, but do I love how you're saying it? Absolutely. Do I love this weird ass like kaleidoscope of music that's happening behind it? Hell yes. And it's take it up. And it's like building up just a little bit. And I'm just like, what is this? And then she brings that same thing back at the end in the last song. And I'm just like, you tied it all together for me like there was something to this. I love it. I love it. Every time I play that album, I have to play it again. I can never play that album less than 2 times when I play it.
Wow.
Because it feels like it's made like when A Seat at the Table had a clear message or a clear set of messages that it had to say. I think it was about an hour long, about 20 something songs. And this album is also like 20 something songs, but it's way shorter. And everything just feels like a quick idea, like a sketch. And
like
she was
Drunk
just
from Thundercat.
Yes, yeah, perfect. Somehow, it was even shorter than Drunk, which is like 20 something songs. They're just like real quick ideas. It's just like a sketch. Okay, she balled it up, threw it away. Okay, next thing. Next thing. There's a skit on the album where she's fighting with, I assume, like Beyonce or like some other friends like that, where she was like, she's like, let me hold the mic, and she said something along the lines of, I'm a multifaceted being. Like I'm too this, I'm too that. I can't be all of these things at one time because I'm too this, I'm too that. And I feel like I can relate to say, like, there are times where you feel like people see you as this one thing. Or like you're different things to different people. And that's because you're different things to yourself. Like there are those days where you wake up and you're just like, I'm just about to jam metal all day. You wake up the next day, I'm in a Chief Keef mood all day. You can't tell me nothing. I'm just trapping all day. You know what I mean? Like we're different. We're multifaceted people. And this album is just a kaleidoscope of Solange. Like it's a window into her soul without really saying anything. It's like if you looked into somebody's mind and they couldn't tell you words, this is what it would sound like. It's just there are songs like Beltway, which is just a beautiful. It's just nothing but synth, and she's like home. And that's all you need. You love me, and it's so.
How
good.
do you do this?
It's so.
How do you
good.
do this? Full transparency.
So good, Nick.
I didn't like this album. Now I want to go back and listen to this album. I feel like I'm missing something. How do you do this?
I'm telling you. Like,
how do you do this?
I've been skirting around it. We've been talking about this album all year, and I haven't challenged you on it. Like, when you say, I don't really care for it, bruh. Just put on your headphones one day. Have nothing else on your mind.
How do you do this?
Sit in your bed or just sit in your living room. It can be with like just one light on, a candle, just wherever you have peace, and just sit in it. Just sit in it. It caught me because like the first time I listened to it, I was like, "This is pretty dope." But then I think we went on a trip to Columbia to go see Candy Boo, and hopefully you're watching Candy Boo. And I was playing that album that weekend, and I was getting into some yoga, and I was just kind of chilling. We were all just like kind of chilling, having a good time out of town, and I was just like, "This album is lovely. It's not good. It's remarkable. I don't know how like
that's a word.
She is speaking without really saying much at all. Like the same way that we talk about somebody like D'Angelo, where like half the time you can't understand nothing this man is saying. His voice is an instrument. I felt like she blended into the sounds of the album itself. Like, and she has so much other help. Like, I mean, people like Tyler the Creator were there, Earl Sweatshirt, Blood Orange, Gucci Mane, like just so many random people, Playboy Cardi, like people just showing up at like all these different textures, all these different artists, all these different sounds. And somehow it all just like comes together and creates something that's just like, I can't even explain to you what makes this so good, but god damn it is. Like, man. It's good. Like, this is the only album, like I compared my top three, like Ventura to Malibu, Igor to Flower Boy. When I get home and A Seat at the Table, it's tough. And I love A Seat at the Table was my number 2 album that year, and that's only because, like I said, Telephone just ate everything else up. But Solange's album should have been number 1 that year. Like it was a fight. This year it wasn't even close. It just I couldn't tell you why, other than like it just spoke directly to me. It's like it felt like I was there with her while she was making the music. It felt like I understood everything she was saying without saying anything. And I was just like, I don't know. The sound itself was really good. Her voice is always great. The guests were great. There was just a bunch of different textures, really quick ideas. And it was just great. It just came together to make an amazing album. I wish she would have went on tour for it. I'll take my money. But yeah, number 1 album, When I Get Home by Solange.
How do you do this?
How does she do this? It's not me. I didn't do it.
No, because I heard the album, and then you were banging on about it. I'm like, man, why does he care about this album? Like, it doesn't do anything. And now to hear you talk about like it's her different sides and her smoking weed, it's a kaleidoscope of like how multifaceted it makes you want to listen to this album. It makes me want to go back and like, I missed something. I completely missed something when I listened to this album.
Yeah, I feel like you did. But if you don't,
you're honest.
But if you don't get it, I mean, I'm not okay. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna give it another shot. I feel like I have to now give it another shot. Y'all hold me to this. I feel like I have to give this another shot now.
Okay, Nick.
Wow. Wow.
Didn't mean to drop that bombshell. I didn't even think I was gonna talk that much about it.
Wow.
It's so good.
Wow.
I don't want to talk about the album all year. That was pent up right there. Nick, your number 1 album.
Give me a minute.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Okay. I want the album to do this to you, though. If you don't do it tonight, just do it sometime when you just have a good 40 minutes of peace. Just listen to it one time all the way through. With headphones on, preferably.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right.
Yep.
All right. So.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. That's just what happens when I start to think. Okay, cool. Well then, Jason, we are here.
Yep. Nic Rattlehead.
A whole year of y'all listening to me talk and watching me on these videos. Thank you, by the way. We are here. Jason, there can only be 1 album.
There can only be 1!
I've listened to these other albums. I told you that the top 3 I was struggling between the 3 of them, and I had to listen to them. And then I came to the conclusion. I'm like, why am I even tripping? Why is this even a thing?
Right.
Because I listened to this album after I listened to Two Mode and I listened to Word. I'm like, This is not
Y'all
a
not
contest.
touching this. Yeah. Y'all not touching this.
I have been banging on about this album since I even heard a whisper that they might drop an album. And then when I heard the lead single for this album, Jason, I've been on cloud nine with this band since 2017.
That's right.
We were doing that show, Crawling CD Player, or whatever it was called.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Crawling CD Player? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. When we were doing that show, and during outtakes, I would like grunt the lyrics to the song. And Mike Seatown would laugh at me.
Yeah. Shout out to Mike Seatown. That was a fun review.
That was a fun review.
Yeah.
Jason, my number one album from this year has to be undoubtedly, unquestionably, Weeping Choir by Full of Hell. Like,
Not a surprise at all. Yep.
This should not even be a question because Dylan Walker and Spencer Hazard call this album a sister album to Trumpeting Ecstasy. And all it is an amalgam of the different sounds and the different genres that Full of Hell have dabbled in since their inception, right? So this is 10 years building up to this one album. Some people call it transitional. I call it, I can see it being transitional. I can see it being transforming. I mean, that might be synonyms or whatever else like that, but I see it different because transitioning being like, I'm going from this stage to this stage, right?
Okay.
Right? I'm leaving this and I'm going to there. I see this, no, I'm just becoming something completely different, right? I see them like waving farewell to what they were and becoming something. I don't expect them to sound like this on their next album. I don't expect them to sound, it feels too final. You see what I mean?
Okay. Like this is the period at the end of
this
whatever
is the
sentence
period at the end of the sentence of whatever they were trying to say.
Okay.
Because there are flashes of hardcore, whether you're talking about songs like Downward, which feature guest vocals from the actual cover artist, Mark McCoy. Whether you're talking about tracks like the intro track, which is just the blistering head-on burning myrrh, right? Which even drops hints to the tracks that are to come, like Silmaril and Haunted Arches, right? But Jason, as great as Burning Myrrh was, as great as Haunted Arches was, as wonderfully pummeling as Thundering Hammers was, and it's also infectious, as ghastly as it is, it's infectious, right? As rambunctious and destructive as it is infectious, right? The shining gem to this album is the 7-minute track that sits dead center of this album called Armory of Obsidian Glass. Jason, let me tell you, so I've never really equated Full of Hell to doom metal, right? So if you don't know what doom metal is, which I don't know if you know that or not, it's more slow. It's more methodical. It's more lumbering. It can also be a little bit more malign than a lot of other metal genres, right? Because when it just feels like something is more daunting when it's slowed down. You see what I mean? Okay. And when it comes to Full of Hell, I'm used to them hitting me with a 41-second track, right? Or a 50-second track. Oh, here's one that's 1 minute and 23 seconds. This one is 7 minutes long. This is the longest Full of Hell track I've ever heard. It never once feels like 7 minutes. He comes in and he says, and he just screams at the top of his lungs, Cavern of Dreams, right? Jason, from that point on, the track is constantly shifting, constantly moving, crawling with no legs, threatening to swallow you whole. And the thing about it is, if you look at the album cover, you see the priest. The priest has no head. It's just literally smoke coming from his collar, right? And he's holding some type of grail in his hand, which marries perfectly with the nun with her face on fire from Trumpeting Ecstasy.
As I remember that one. Yeah, okay.
This is the track that fully encompasses, I think, the atmosphere they were going for, because it feels like they're doing some type of satanic ritual in there, right? And you see as the ritual continues to progress, you see the ghostly choir with no face appear behind the blasphemous priest as he continues with his incantation. Spirits start to arise. The clouds begin to swirl above you. Things that it's crazy. And who helps them on this track? Who is the backing vocals as they fade away to lead into almost the Death Heaven-like, post-metal-like second leg of this track?
Who, Nick?
Lingua Ignota.
From number 4's album, Caligula.
Yes.
Ah.
Jason, she has no audible, she has no lyrics that you can really decipher. She's literally just wailing in the background. And they layer her vocals to make it sound like a choir in agony. A blasphemous choir in agony. And then as she's wailing away, you start to hear David Bland's kick drum come in, and then it just explodes into a weird and twisted reversed euphoria, right? And euphoria is a word that I'm not used to saying when it comes to full of hell, because euphoria is like a synonym for joyful, like nirvana, things of that nature, right? Yeah. And it feels like they're in some type of euphoria because that whatever they were trying to conjure up, whatever spirit they were trying to bring forward, whatever they were trying to accomplish via this ritual has now come into full fruition. That has now come to pass. Whatever they wanted to come forth is now here. And they are now relishing in it, right? And Jason, it fades away with Lingua Ignota still wailing away as that satanic choir, and it goes straight into the head-smashing Silmaril, which now we go back to face-shredding, grind death metal, and it just doesn't stop. And then now we get another, after Silmaril, we get Angels Gather Here, which is nothing but an industrial track. It's like they said, cool, we were listening to Nine Inch Nails earlier, we can do better than that. And then Jason, it just stomps its way through the track with noise and static stacking on top of itself in the background. It's wonderful. I said something on Instagram when I heard the album, like maybe a week afterwards. And I said, I've heard the perfect album.
I remember you telling me that.
I've heard the perfect album. I've never felt unsafe. I've never felt an auditory nirvana outside of gospel music. I've never felt an auditory nirvana like that. And I've never felt so uneasy listening to the same album. But that's how I felt. It is literally a journey making it through just 25 minutes of an album. It's in and it's out. Even when you're talking about, I know a lot of people don't like the full noise piece, which is Rainbow Coil, which to me harkens back to the Full of Hell noise albums that they used to do. I love it because it yet again, it makes you feel uneasy, and it enables me to imagine things as I'm listening to this album. It sets a beautiful soundscape and then leads you into Aria of Jeweled Tears. I heard the perfect album, Jason. And I know we were supposed to do lists for our most influential albums of the decade. I don't think we have time for that, but I will tell you this. The most influential band I've heard this decade who have shifted the way that I approach music is Full of Hell. Because they're not just grindcore. Yeah. They're not just death metal. They're not just hardcore. They're not just noise. They somehow take this and throw it together, and then somewhere bubbling at the cauldron's bottom, if anybody caught that, good on you. And what bubbles forth from the bottom of that cauldron is something completely new and completely theirs. But you can still hear their influences. You can still hear discordant axis in a lot of their music. You can still hear a lot of what makes them there, but now it's unlike anything that you've ever seen before. It's their own demon that's come forth. And I absolutely love it. More so than D'Angelo, I love Deftones, but more so than Deftones. And they released Corneliokin this year. I love my gospel music, but I've grown up with gospel music. I know what I'm getting into when it comes to praise and worship and CCM and traditional Southern Baptist. So when I'm listening to to albums like Mighty Clouds of Joy at the Revival, it's one of my favorite albums, top 5 if I had to number something this decade. It's up there. Mm-hmm. But nothing has challenged me more this decade, has challenged my ear and expanded my ear more this decade than Trumpeting Ecstasy and now this. Weeping Choir is a masterstroke. Weeping Choir is a masterclass on how to make challenging, off-putting, multifaceted death grind, doom, noise, hardcore metal. I love that album. Love that album. Love that. I'll even post it on Instagram, IG for the hip people. Like, you know, because Apple Music does their replay of the year. Mm-hmm. I posted it. I listened to Full of Hell. The only other band that came close to Full of Hell by 2 hours was Tomb Mold. The rest of it is like 42 hours of Tomb Mold, 25 hours, 20 hours, 12 hours.
Wow.
Like that. Mm. It's like that. I was so sad I missed them because they were going to play here after Thanksgiving. I don't know what venue they were supposed to be at, but also I want to say to them, I'm glad you guys are getting back on your feet, because if you don't know, they had their van stolen from them.
Really? Oh,
so
sucks.
in that van, which has been very loyal to them, and I don't know how they've been able to keep it going for as long as they have, but the thieves stole all of their gear. They stole all of their merch, and they stole the clothes that they were wearing. They literally had nothing.
Jeez.
They literally had nothing. And this shows how great the metal community is. One of their friends, Full of Hell did not set it up. Their friend did. Their friend set up a GoFundMe for Full of Hell. Like, yo, we just need to get them their gear. You know what I mean? And they set a cap for $20,000. Mm-hmm. They raised that day $34,500 plus.
That's dope, man.
For them.
Good.
To the point where Full of Hell's like, look. We only needed $20,000.
Right.
So what we're going to do with that 14 plus, we're just going to donate that to a charity, and we'll let you guys know
that is
what charity that is. We just needed enough to get the gear back. And it was like, yo, we're going to be on our feet.
That's so
next year, you're going to see us. It speaks to the type of people that they are. Because even when I saw them the first time in 2017, I'm new to Full Hell. And I met Dylan Walker. He was just standing there at the merch table. I was like, what chance do you really have to go meet an artist that you admire, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go say hi to him. This dude was so cool, man. Like, man, I'm sorry. I was just like, well, I don't mean to take. He's like, dude, we can talk whatever. I'll do whatever you want to do. We sat and talked for like dang near 25 to 30 minutes.
That's dope.
Me and him took pictures, all this other good stuff. But every time I see him, he remembers me. Mm-hmm. And we just sit there and shoot the breeze. And he'll tell me how his wife is doing, because, you know, they had gotten married, and, you know, he loves dirt bikes and all that other stuff. So he'll talk to me like I'm his buddy.
That's pretty dope.
You know what I mean? Like, so not only do I admire the music, but they're cool people on top of that.
And that's why they got the support that they got.
That's why they got the support they got.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Full of Hell, this experience, this decade has been not just a great music, but an experience for me.
I feel that.
So #1 album, Weeping Choir by Full of Hell.
All right.
Jason, we have went over an hour and 30 minutes.
Bruh, we pushing 2.
But I'm going to tell y'all this. It's the end of the year. Thank you so much for riding, man.
Hey.
Thank you for riding with Aftershock Reviews. Thank you for riding with Dumblinks, man.
Hey, thank you for riding with me.
My guy.
All right? All day, every day.
My guy. This my guy right here. Team Mush. You ain't ready.
It's not a game.
It's not a game. Run that junk, man.
Okay. In 2020, I want y'all to show this man and his channel triple, Nick. Quadruple the amount of support that he has been getting. We have been, which you would say you've been on a growing path. Mm-hmm. We want to continue that. We want people like Nic Rattlehead to be able to bring you more stuff like this in the future. Tell your friends about what you saw here today. This beautiful magnum opus, if you will,
exactly,
of the year 2019. The piece de la résistance. Okay, you will never get another video like this from anybody else but Aftershock. And if you like me, which why wouldn't you? Okay, it's me, it's your boy, it's your boy. I like me too. You know what I mean? I'm a
Amen. There you go.
God.
Self-love.
You know what I'm saying? You can find me at twitch.tv/Dumblinks playing all manner of video games. Right now, it's like 99% Pokemon. So if that's your thing, I will gladly whoop your ass in some Pokemon Sword and Shield. But we play all kinds of other stuff too, and we'd love to see you. So come join me there. But thank y'all for such a good year.
Thank you
for the love on the last video we did.
Thank you, boy. That was
dope.
That's still the best video I have out right now.
Until this one comes out.
Until this one.
You know what I'm saying?
My mans. But until then, thank y'all. Matt, Dagnabbit, I love you.
We miss you, dog.
Matt, I love you.
I hope you have you good holidays, man.
But until next time, peace.
Chill.